So what I decided to do is hop on here and tell a few stories. Obviously, I tell a lot of stories on my page, but I thought it'd be dope to tell a couple stories live. Why not? So I got three stories picked out for you this evening. So let's get right into them. So the first story is about a young kid from Skokie, Illinois. His name is Vincent Gonzalez, and he's a young Hispanic kid, and all he does all day is play basketball. So he plays at his local health club called Export Fitness. So he goes in there, plays every day, and then one day he shows up and tries to check in, and the manager of the club says, "Your membership is expired." So he says, "All right, I'll renew it. Can I just play today?" And the manager says, "All right, I'll let you play, but this is it." So he goes and plays, but then he keeps coming back every single day, sneaking in. And every time the manager catches him and he says, "Look, man, you can't keep coming in here. Your membership is expired. You're trespassing at this point. I'm going to have to start calling the cops." So he says, this is your last warning." So then he tells, as in the manager tells the whole staff, "Hey, if you see Vincent in here, you have my authority to call the cops and we're going to report him for trespassing." Vincent shows up the next week. Another staff member calls the cops, and a cop shows up, a by the name of Officer Valenti. So Officer Valenti comes into the health club, and the guy at the front desk, he points to the gym and says Vincent's in there. So the cop goes in, he hunts Vincent down, and he tells him, "Get your stuff, we got to go." And then he walks Vincent up to the front of the health club, and he says to him, he says, "Look, you're trespassing. You can't be in here. Your membership is expired. So I have every right to book you on trespassing." And he says, "Look, I just want to play basketball, and I don't have the money to renew my membership at the moment. So I didn't mean any harm." So the cop looks at the front desk person at the health club. He looks back at Vincent, looks back at the front desk person at the health club, and he says, "How much will $150 get Vincent?" So at this point, the guy who's working at the health club, he's confused. He's saying, "I don't even know what he's saying." And the cop says, "How much will it get him?" And he said, "Well, the membership's $50 a month, and it will get him 3 months." So the cop pulls out his debit card, swipes, pays for 3 months of Vince's membership, and then sends him back into the gym to keep playing. And this was just dope to me because essentially the cop was called to arrest the young man for trespassing. He was just trying to play basketball, and the cop was interviewed, and he said, "Look, I'd much rather him in here playing basketball than be out on the streets doing something crazy." And I just think that's an incredible story. We hear a lot of bad stories about cops and the youth, and especially inner city youth. But I thought that was incredible that with his own money, he paid for this kid's scholar or his membership so he can continue playing basketball. And yeah, that was just a dope story to me. I got another one for you. This story is about former NBA Hall of Famer Shaquille O'Neal. So one day, Shaq is riding through Long Island, New York, and all of a sudden he has to use the restroom. So his team finds the closest place that they can find so Shaq can use the bathroom, and they pull over into this bridal shop. So he's in the bathroom doing his thing. While he's in the bridal shop, everyone realizes, "Oh, this is Shaq. Shaq's in here." So he comes out, everyone's taking photos, getting autographs, and he's a man of the people, so he's cool with it. So he's about to leave, and then all of a sudden he gets to the door and he turns around and he goes back to the front desk and he tells the lady, "Everyone that's in here right now, I'm paying for their wedding dress." And that's exactly what he did. So he paid for every single customer's wedding dress that was in that boutique that day. This was dope to me. I have so many Shaq stories of him being kind and him being generous and him just going into his pocket, just blessing people. And that was just, I mean, the luck of being in there the day that Shaq comes in. And Shaq, in an interview, Shaq said that every time he leaves the house, he has to bless somebody or buy something for somebody. So that was incredible to me. And so I got one more story I want to share. So this next story is about a high school in Toledo, Ohio. It's called Scott High. And they had an assembly one day. All the kids thought that it was just an ordinary assembly. They all piled into the gymnasium and they had a guest speaker. And his name was Pete Cadence, who is a Toledo native and he's a successful businessman. So he's giving them a speech. And in the middle of during his speech, he talks about the importance of education and having resources for education. And then he said that is one of the most important things that you can do for yourself is get an education. Now, Scott High School is in a very underprivileged area of Toledo, and most of the families there don't have the resources to get a higher education. So what Pete says as he closes out his speech, he says, every single senior in this gymnasium today, I'm going to pay for you to go to a 4-year university or a trade school, room and board, tuition, everything is on me. So this incredible gesture sent the gym, everyone went crazy. People are crying, they're hugging, they can't believe it. And that's dope enough as it is. But then it gets even better. And he says, I think that I don't want you all to go through this alone, and I think you need a partner. So not only am I going to pay for you to go to school, but I'm also going to pay for one of your parents to go to school as well. So he paid for all the seniors. He paid for one parent for each senior, and they couldn't believe it. Can you imagine? That is real change in the community. And this guy, I think he's worth maybe 12 or 13 million. I mean, he's done quite well for himself, but he's not a billionaire or anything. So this is a good chunk of change for him. But he's putting his money where his mouth is and he's doing real things to change the community. And this was just incredible. Man, I am one of my goals is to be in that type of position to enact or to facilitate that type of change in a community. So yeah, those are my 3 stories for today. I'm gonna try to do this more often. Go live, have a little story time, and yeah, I don't know. This is my first live, by the way, so I don't know if people comment or how that works, but I don't want that. Okay, I didn't even know you can do that. All right, dope. Yo, I appreciate everyone stopping by for story time today. And if you like it, comment. If you want more story time, let me know. Maybe I can make a post to let everyone know when I go live so you don't miss it. But for those of you who stopped by, for those of you tuned in right now, I do appreciate you and hope you're having an amazing day. And I'm sending nothing but love your way. Peace.